Police psychiatrist moonlights as a radio matchmaker. Richard III's short reign is revealed as the work of the real Illuminati. Scientists explain that the daylight savings save us from being enslaved by birds. This is Radio Khan City News. You're listening to Radio Khan City News on Radio Khan City, the station so intense that we are only allowed 5 minutes of airtime every month. Our top story this month: Dr. Terrence Walker, full-time police psychiatrist and part-time radio matchmaker, has won the Best Live Dating Show award from the Khan County Television Broadcasting Association. His matchmaking program, Love on the Air with Dr. Walker, airs every Monday and Friday evening on Green City Radio in Greenville, Khan County, and attracts hundreds of callers every day. Dr. Walker relies on his expertise in digging into the human psyche to determine match compatibility between his callers. The show remains the most popular program on Green City Radio, despite recent concerns about a string of 196 missing persons cases, all victims of which had called into Dr. Walker's dating show no more than 6 months prior to their disappearance. Dr. Walker insists that this is nothing but a coincidence. New evidence recovered from the secret library of the real Illuminati has revealed their connection to the infamous medieval English king, Richard III. The last Yorkist king of England apparently came to power with the aid of the real Illuminati, who helped him ascend to the throne in exchange for funding, which they were in dire need of after they had depleted their treasury during the ill-fated 100 Years' War. Their records paint Richard III in an even more negative light than the famous play by William Shakespeare, and cites this as the reason why the real Illuminati eventually turned against him. They used the very funds they had received from the controversial monarch to aid Henry Tudor in his efforts to dethrone Richard III. When Henry Tudor defeated Richard in battle and was subsequently crowned as King Henry VII, the real Illuminati expected to be compensated for their efforts with coin and influence, only to find that Henry had learned from his predecessor's mistakes and made sure to keep the real Illuminati as far away from wealth and power as possible. New research performed at the University of Khan City has unveiled the true importance of the daylight savings scheme. The study addresses the commonly raised arguments that the daylight savings scheme needlessly complicates our lives in exchange for a completely negligible saving on power consumption. As explained by Professor Van der Bishop, the daylight savings scheme does indeed yield negligible monetary savings due to the increased consumption of coffee and energy drinks caused by having to get out of bed an hour early. However, due to the appetite of birds, as immortalized in the saying, "the early bird gets the worm," fishermen would be left with no worms to use for lures if we were to fail to get up an hour early in the summer. In this way, daylight savings save us from famines in the summer while still allowing the birds to have the advantage in the winter. The professor warns against trying to simply get up at the same time in the winter as well, because if we were to leave the birds without worms all year round, they would rise up against us and either exterminate humanity or force us to be their slaves. The professor hopes these new facts will increase public appreciation of the daylight savings scheme. And now, sports. Brock the Bull, undefeated heavyweight champion of the Greenville Bullfighting Organization, has defeated Matador Harvey Ford in 3 minutes and 0 seconds and retained his title. The victory comes in wake of the Matador suffering a wardrobe malfunction when his unbuckled belt allowed his trousers to slip down to his ankles in the first 10 seconds of the match, which allowed the champion to gore him and run around the arena with him hanging from his horns. The match ended when Brock the Bull grew bored of running in circles and simply returned to the backstage area along with the Matador's twitching remains. Those were this month's headlines. This is Radio Khan City News, signing off. For more totally authentic news, including the true history of the real Illuminati and the cutting-edge research of Professor Van der Bishop, go to www.concitypress.com right now.